So let's move on. So skills. We've talked a lot about skills in the last two sessions that we had. Actually, we've had more than 2 sessions. In the last sessions that we've had, virtually every of those sessions touched a little bit on skills. So I will just highlight here that from my own perspective, I will be looking at skills at a fairly high level. So where skills will just be grouped into 2 basic categories. And those categories are what I termed as domain general skills and domain specific skills. So, but skill in itself is a measure of the ability of an individual to perform an action, a function, or an activity in a very competent manner. So that's what skill is. So for domain general, these are skills that you need that potentially will be applicable across multiple functions. So whether you are a police, you're working in the police sector, whether you are working in an organization that is operating within the energy sector, whether you're working in an organization that is operating within the entertainment sector, you probably need these domain general skills or some of these domain general skills to succeed. And these are skills like the critical thinking that we're talking, time management, teamwork, leadership, self-motivation, and stuff like that. The skills that are usually termed soft skills or human or people skills in some lexicons. So, but we also have domain-specific skills. So, and these domain-specific skills are skills that are required to perform a specific job function. So, if you want to, if your desire is to actually have a career in a car manufacturing company, for instance, then you know immediately that you need to prepare yourself with skills in the domain-specific skills around the auto industry. So if you, for instance, desire to have a career in creating software for different application areas, then you know that the domain-specific skills that you will be interested in will hover around the coding and computing areas. You know, so but the most important thing is that these domain-specific areas, a lot of times, are those expertise that you can actually acquire through academic qualifications or some sort of structured certification programs. So if you do some of you might be in high school now, and then some of you probably is getting ready to get into universities. So if you finish your high school, your universities, those academic qualifications you're getting will actually be providing some of these skills for you in those specific domain areas that you potentially, through your education, you're preparing yourself to build a career in. And skills usually are measured. So I can have a skill in automobile, for instance, and you also can have that's the same automobile skill, but we are probably not at the same level. Most often we won't be at the same level. So the experience, the years of experience that one has gathered working in that specific function will be reflected in the level of the skill you have in that domain-specific area if that skill is measured. So, and usually the skills are measured in 5 levels. So level 0 to 4, or some people might say level 1 to level 5. You know, So, but the most important thing is that is a level, zero level. The first level is the unawareness level, where you don't even have any knowledge. You don't even know that such a skill exists. So level 1 is the awareness level, where you know, you have the awareness of that subject, but you really don't understand it. You know, level 2, the knowledge level, is where you understand the principles behind that function or that subject. You understand it very well and you can discuss it. Then level 3, which is the skill level, is where, sorry, I'm trying to move out this so that it doesn't block it a bit. Yeah. So level 3, the skill level, is where you actually understand these skills. You understand the subject very well, and you can apply it to work. So you know, you can see the application of this understanding that you have, the application of this knowledge that you have. So that is skill. And then mastery is where you understand it, you can apply it, and you can teach others that skill. So the mastery is the highest level of any skill. Now, in different texts, you can find different nomenclatures used to describe these levels, but I think there's almost uniformity across various groups that the levels are usually 5 levels, but you can see people describing it with different nomenclatures here. But in terms of the actual definition, they still match these definitions that are provided here. Okay, so moving on. So a career, on the other hand, is an undertaking, an occupation that you have undertaken for a significant period of time and with opportunities for progress within an organization. I purposely put in our business here because of the conversations we had earlier, that you can actually have a career in business, but you can also have a career in organizations that are not necessarily business organizations. You know. Then values is the other important thing that didn't feature directly in the topic, but I felt it's important to also talk about value a little bit here. And I also know that yesterday, I think the yesterday sessions dwell significantly on values, and then also the sessions, the first day, the day that the Reverend Father and Chioma spoke, both of them also spoke a lot about values. So I just want to more or less re-emphasize here that values are those fundamental beliefs that guide or motivate our attitudes or actions. So those values determine the personal quality we choose to embody. And those personal qualities we embody will guide our actions in life. It's your values that actually give you the instinct to do something. You know, so the sort of person you want to become, the desire to become a better person will be as a result of the sort of value you have. So the way we choose to treat others and even treat ourselves is actually determined by our core values. Even how we interact with the world around us is actually determined by our core values. I mean, I usually call value the force of good for progressive change within us. And I use this in the positive sense by making that assumption, the underlying assumption that every human, actually, particularly those of us within the Christian community, you know, desires to have a value system that is good. So if you have a value system that is good, that value system certainly will be a force of good for progressive change in our society, within you and then in our society. And remember, the collection of values in a society is what we call culture. And that culture is the code of conduct for the society or the community you find yourself in. And why am I really talking about values so much in a business topic? It's because businesses are treated as people or persons. So just every quality that a person has, a business also has that quality. So business as an entity, even though as a person, you're a citizen of a country, as a business, you're also a citizen. And as a person, you enjoy privileges as a result of being, as a result of that citizenship that you have. As a business, you also enjoy privileges as a result of that citizenship the business has. And as a person, you have values. As a business, you also have core values that will determine the direction that business will go. So as a business, every business actually has values that guide the actions of that business. So in career selection for an individual, it is absolutely important that in choosing the organizations to undertake a career in, you must endeavor to check and assure yourself that your personal value aligns with the values of that business entity. Otherwise, you run into problems. You can't succeed. If there is any misalignment between your personal values and the values that that organization see as its core values, then you are likely not to succeed in that organization. So it is important that you know your values, and it's also important that you know the values of the organization that you intend to actually spend a career. And values are just those fundamental beliefs, like I said, around things like being hardworking, having the respect for others, treating people fairly, kindness, truthfulness, diversity and inclusiveness, compassion, care, and so on. Okay, so moving on. Okay, so it's a time to just check our understanding again. So who, here, let me start with the number 4, first of all. Does a business have values? Who can answer that? And then also tell me why you think it's necessary for a business to have values. Can you raise? Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I think that's important for a business to have values, so then people know the correct way that they should act in that specific organization, and the characteristics that they need to have, such as honesty and truthfulness and things like that.
Yeah, fantastic. You're absolutely correct. So it provides the code of conduct that guides how people conduct themselves in that organization. Yeah, and you need to be sure that your own value system will allow you to operate within that code of conduct. If your own value system will not allow you to operate there, then you probably should excuse yourself from working there, because you will run into a lot of problems if you do. So thank you very much. That's correct. Does anybody have any other view, or does anybody want to try to share with us, for instance, who and what, the number 3, who and what do you believe helped to shape your own values? As a person, what shapes you with regards to the values that you possess? Who is the second person? I know let me try to check with the second person that I can't see this name now. Sorry, let me see. Okay, Ahimeni, go on.
I believe what helps you to shape your own values is kind of who helps you, sir, is the kind of people you interact with,
Okay,
who you interact with, and what helps you is the principles you set for yourself. If you're not that kind of person that does certain things, it helps you to develop values for yourself through the kind of way you act and the kind of people you interact with.
okay, okay, that's good. Yeah, Joshua, go on.
I agree with the last person. I think it's mainly about your upbringing and who you're around. I think family members, definitely childhood. I think those are things that usually shape your values.
Fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. So fantastic. Tion, go on.
I think it's like the kind of people you surround yourself with, like your friends and your morals and the way you behave, like your character determines how.
Yeah, fantastic. So you all of you have mentioned very key elements. So your family, your parents have a role in shaping you or shaping your values. The people you interact with have a role in shaping your values. The kind of friends or colleagues you socialize with, they have a role in shaping your values. And that is why it is important that you also be very selective as a person around the kind of groupings that you engage yourself with. And also the church, actually, that you worship with, they have a role in shaping your values. So there are a number of entities that operate around you that would play significant roles in shaping your values, but you also as a person has a responsibility. And that's where critical thinking comes in. You have a responsibility to shed off those influences that would try to direct you towards the wrong values. Okay. So I think I'll leave the other questions for now, and let's move on. So this is a bit of a complex slide, but this slide was meant for, this particular slide was meant for an adult group. So I will not go through all the elements. I'll just stay very high level on this without really bothering you with a lot of the details. So, but this try to talk to the fundamentals around how a business operates.